You're listening to WooSox Insider, presented by your Worcester Red Sox.
And welcome back to WooSox Insider. It has been a little while. We have been a little busy here at the park. There's been a lot going on. We just finished up another homestand here, a great homestand, huge crowds, a lot of good baseball, a lot of wins. For those who don't remember, it's been a little while. Sitting over here in the red is Dave Leonardi, our fearless producer. I'm Brennan Black, and today with us is Michael Smithers from the WooSox front office.
Guys?
And more importantly, in my opinion, for all the WooSox Spanish content, WooSox baseball.
Yes.
Michael, thank you for joining us. This is, we're about at the halfway point of the season now, and I think it's about 2 homestands ago we started, having our Spanish broadcast team sitting in on each one of our games,
Yep.
and you guys have your little studio set up here in the DCU club, which
That's
is where we're
crazy.
recording from right now. This is kind of it was long in the making here because you were here last year,
Yep.
and I know last year this was a priority to get the WooSox Spanish content more out there and to make it more robust. And we've got an Instagram page, we've got a Twitter page, we've got highlights with awesome Spanish broadcasting. We've got players on the team who are able to send clips and send things
Yep.
to their families back home that don't need to be translated or anything like that. Just give me your insight on how this has all started and where your headspace is, because I know it must be spinning. It's crazy.
It is. First of all, thanks, Brendan, Dave, for having me. I know we've talked about being here, the 3 of us, a long time now, but it is what it is. Baseball. It's a busy sport. Let's just put it like that. Oh yeah. But it's been a crazy ride. This 2-3 weeks of work with the Spanish content team. Shout out to them, because it's not only me, it's also Andres Hernandez from Colombia. He's an intern, and he's been a great part of this. And of course, Jorge Tuche, he's also from Mexico, like myself. He's also an intern, but between the two of those guys and me, we've been creating specific content in Spanish for all Spanish-speaking players and their families and friends, and of course, like the WooSox Nation, to keep it growing and growing and growing, which is the goal here, right?
Yeah, and this is really kind of like taking off like a rocket ship, a Roberto rocket ship, and just to see how it's grown into one of my favorite things is when you come to Polar Park now. What was originally, and it could still be a temporary station for you guys, where you call the games right now as you're broadcasting for the Spanish speaking broadcast. You're in the DCU club, so
Yeah,
people can
yeah.
come walk by, and that's the coolest thing for me is you see everyone's walking by, they're standing behind you, you get to interact with the fans. It's really cool, and it adds a whole new flavor to the DCU club. And honestly, there is something so poetic about the way Spanish broadcasts are. It's just like, no offense to Tyler Murray, Jim Kane, Mike Antonellis, Cooper Borbin, Jay Burnham, Spanish broadcasts are way cooler.
There's a whole new energy to it.
Way cooler.
There's a whole new energy to it.
Yeah. So, first of all, walk me through what got you here to Worcester. You said you were a native of Mexico,
Yep.
grew up in Mexico, went to college in Mexico, and then you were able to do your graduate studies at Northeastern.
Correct.
So, before doing your graduate studies at Northeastern, what was some of your experience in Mexico?
So it all started in Mexico. I started to study communications. That was my bachelor back home. I never in a million years thought I was going to end up in Worcester, Massachusetts, working for the Worcester Red Sox. But it all started like in college. I studied communications. I met my now wife in college back in Mexico, right? It's like 6.5 years ago, so. It all started with me finishing school. I started working in a local TV channel, like a local news station. I was a sports anchor for them, and I did that for 2 years while my now wife was still in school. So after that, I was working, and pandemic hit, 2020, like that crazy year that we all want to forget. That hit, and my wife had to come back home. Was born and raised in Worcester, but she did college in Mexico because her parents are Mexican. So she went back home. There was no point in her like paying rent. Well, their own classes were online. So then I was trying to figure out a way to to see where this was gonna go, because it was like a serious relationship, right? So I applied for Northeastern. I saw this program, the Master of Sports Leadership. Applied, got into it, and I was accepted, right? So I came back to live in Worcester, went to school, and I was an intern last summer for the Worcester Red Sox. I was in the sales department with all the ticket sales team. That they're great guys and great people and a great team. I was learning like the ins and outs of a baseball team. I was never into like nothing like this before. I've never worked in a baseball team. I used to work in the other side, in journalism, reporting stuff. But I had no idea how a front office was like. What were the departments? What did they do? But I loved it. I loved it from the minute I got here. And especially this place. I mean, it's the first organization I work in baseball, but this place has something special, I would say. I don't know if it's the people that work in the ballpark, the front office, the team, but that we're affiliated to the Boston Red Sox, a great organization, of course. But I loved it from the minute I got here, and I knew that I wanted to come back. So, fortunately, Dr. Charles Steinberg, he's a really true believer that Spanish speaking is an important thing in this sport and this organization. So he talked to me and offered me this opportunity to come back this summer as an employee, official employee, to try to grow up that Spanish-speaking side of the business.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that is not lost on Dr. Charles is just the enormous amount of the size of the Spanish-speaking community here in Worcester, and that's we're one of the select few teams that get to have our Wepas jerseys, which is a part of the Copa. I got a Copa
de la Diversión.
Yeah.
The Fun Cup. The Fun
Cup. Yeah, exactly. And so we were, when we see, you get to see the WooSox wear their awesome Wepas jerseys, which are available in the merch store now. And you get to see Roberto the Rocket running around.
The music, man. The music on those nights is fire.
That's awesome. That's great. So, one of the, I think one of the biggest parts, obviously we were bringing in the Spanish-speaking community and all of that, but also, our Spanish-speaking players make up a big part of our team here with the WooSox, with the Red Sox. So tell me what this means, at least from your view, from what you've heard from them. What does it mean to them that we are focusing on the Spanish-speaking in the fans?
They love it. They truly love it. Because first of all, they come from all over the world, right? We have players from the U.S., we have players from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Colombia. We had players from Puerto Rico. Yu Chang made an appearance for us, a rehab assignment appearance a couple of weeks ago, and there was people from Taiwan that were like interested in the team at the moment because Yu Chang was here. So they love it, right? To have content for themselves that are talking about the players from Latin America or Spanish-speaking players, and they love it that they can share that not only with their families and friends back home, but with his own teammates here, the American teammates here, right? Talking about Fitzy, talking about Nick Soger, talking about Stephen Scott, right? They are able to share that part of their culture with their own teammates, and that creates a whole globalized clubhouse. I would like to think, it's a globalized clubhouse where there's music from all over the place, where there's content from all over the place, and that's truly how you learn and what makes a person grow, right? Like being able to admire other cultures and to add and to subtract from things that they like and don't like. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
How cool does it feel to be one of the people that is the person creating that change here?
Yeah.
establishing that kind of culture in our broadcast department and allows what you just said, where players can share their own culture with their other teammates. How cool does that feel to be one of the people that's creating that change that hopefully more teams can follow up with?
Oof, that's a great question. I've never thought about it. Like I know that there's some sense of responsibility, right? To be the one that is starting to see this through. But I think it's really important to continue this path. I know we are just starting, and we have like a boom, and we're here in the DCU club, like you mentioned, and people are walking by, and they're like, oh, what is this? Like, this is cool, but I don't want that to get lost with the days passing by. I want things to keep changing, to keep innovating, to be something that sticks, and something that in the future hopefully be a huge foundation on what the WooSox are and the WooSox care about. So I think it's really cool. First of all, that's for me the most important thing, that it's a really awesome and cool thing that I think we're doing here, and I love to be a part of. And also, secondly, it's a great responsibility that I hope I'm truly capable of succeeding with that.
That's awesome. That's great. And this kind of it's not just focused on the content side of things. Before the game, you guys can now go down onto the field, and you can talk with these players. You can get to know them. They get to speak in their native tongue. They don't have to go through Narciso Crook to translate, which I think is also one of the coolest things.
He loves it, though.
Of course he loves it. I love it. Narciso loves the camera. He's got a great smile. He loves being in front of it. But I think this has now really opened up these opportunities for these very unique moments, which one of them we had yesterday, being Saturday, the 24th. Wilyer Abreu, after the game, had a gender reveal down on the field, which would never have been happened if it didn't come through you guys, and then you brought it to us, and we were able to set up a little moment right after the game, which turned into something very special. So just talk about that and how this has kind of started, like you've cultivated these relationships with the players.
So some of the players, while our content is being created and stuff, players love it, and players are following the accounts and are like sharing the stories and stuff. So we'll start with Odanier Mosquera, our relief pitcher.
Yep.
He sent me a DM yesterday in the morning, and he was like, hey, we're planning to do this for Wilyer Abreu because it's her birthday, and they also want to do the gender reveal with his partner right on the field. And I was trying to figure out how they want to do it. They had it all set up, but they wanted to communicate with us, front office, to see if we could help them have like a graphic on the video board, to have a camera with them, to have the social media content team to take them pictures, which were amazing. Those pictures were incredible. Shout out to the social media content creation team. Eddie
Monaghan. Taylor
well, those pictures were something else. But yeah, I mean, it was all about the bridge, that it was that platform, right, for the player to come up to me. He speaks Spanish. I speak Spanish. He was like, hey, can you help me with this? And it was just a matter of talking to you guys, and it was literally 5 minutes, set it up, talk to the grounds crew. Also shout out to the grounds crew, Elliot and all the guys on the grounds crew, because they were like, okay, yeah, we can do it here. Just tell them that we wanted to be here. And it was like 5 minutes, and we had it all prepared to have an amazing moment, right? And such an important and significant moment for them. Also because they wanted to share it with the WooSox family, all the players were down there. No one went to the dugout. Everyone stayed out on the field, and the fans that stay in Polar Park, Ben DeCastro and the PA read, gave an amazing reads with pure emotion and pure heart. And I think it was a moment that it was something that you can't describe. That's more important than baseball itself. It's a sense of community and a sense of the WooSox family.
Yeah, another cool moment today too, being in the interview with Wilyer Abreu's wife. On the broadcast today. For people like me who couldn't really listen in on the broadcast because I was working, or others who missed the broadcast, what did you guys talk about? Because I'm sure that must have been a really cool moment for her, and not just
Yeah. No, yeah, Kelly. That's the name of Wilyer's wife. She was a little nervous, going on camera, but I just told her, like, no, it's just like an interview. It's gonna be fine. You're gonna talk about what happened yesterday in that amazing moment that you just lived. And Laura, our reporter with Nessen, she was amazing as well with the question. She just asked her like, how did it feel? Like, who planned the whole thing? And I can tell you that it was Willier that that had the idea of throwing the pitch, and he hit him in the home plate. But Kelly was nervous because of the throw and everything, so she had like a pretty like 5 warm-up pitches. Had like warm-up pitches, yeah, exactly, the arm, oiling the shoulder a little bit.
Yep.
But she was relieved, and she was really proud about being able to share this with something that I think is really important that she mentioned, and it's important for people to know. She referred to the players in the WooSox as Willier's second family. So I think that's really important. She was like, we were here because that's his family. So and that gave me chills, because that just speaks about the environment and the relationships that are created in the clubhouse, that sometimes us as a front office participants and employees, maybe we don't appreciate or are able to share because we're so busy right here, right? So I think it was a pretty cool moment that she referred to their players as Willier's second family and Worcester as his city.
That's
so
awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see the pure emotion from everyone down on the field. You said it before. Not a single player went into the clubhouse. Everyone was waiting out there. After games are over and the players either celebrate their win or they pick up their gear, they are off the field. They are in the clubhouse. They are showering. They are getting ready. They want to go home, and they want to get some sleep. The entire team was out on the field surrounding him, so excited for him. And am I right to assume that he wanted a boy?
I have a little exclusive I can give. I can give here. He wanted a boy, but a niño. But Willier wants to have 5 kids.
5 kids.
Yeah.
I'm one of 5. So
one of 5. So
good idea.
I think there's plenty of options to have boys or girls or so. But I think a boy as your first kid. I think it's gonna be named after his dad, so it's gonna be Willier Jr.
He's gonna have his own starting pitching rotation.
Oh yeah,
there we go. Yeah,
it's gonna be Willier Abreu Jr. So.
That's great. I mean,
Willier. Yeah.
That
Willier
is fantastic. That's fantastic. So, I know so obviously going forward, we have half of our home games now left here at Polar Park. Outside of, calling games and that kind of stuff, what are things that you guys are looking to in the future? Different content ideas, different ways to interact with players and whatnot. Is there anything on the horizon that you're focusing on?
Yes, definitely. I believe that something apart from, like you said, the broadcast and content on the players, I think it's important to look outside of the Polar Park and see the people in central Massachusetts and in Worcester specifically that are Spanish-speaking people. There's a lot. There's a lot of immigrant people that do not speak English whatsoever, but they love the sport, or they're just looking for something to look up to. So I'm planning on having good interaction with communities and community centers with people that speak Spanish, to involve them somehow on what we're doing here. Not only focusing on baseball, but on other things that are important as well, like day to day. Kids that have like a role model, kids that are planning to go to school, and having like little Q&A sessions with a Spanish-speaking player. So have him as a role model that can show kids that dreams can become possible. So stuff like that to include the community, I think is very important. And content-wise, we definitely want to keep talking with the players to get to know them more. Not only Spanish-speaking players, but also the guys like Fitzy and Nick Sogard, and Shane Rohan. One of the most important pitching prospect the organization has right now, to make them closer to the community with interviews, with little TV beats or whatever, stuff, content that we can get to learn more about the person, less about the player.
Yeah, definitely.
And with that content, as coordinator of Spanish content, obviously this opens up a door for more people to, enjoy WooSox games that may not speak English and possibly even come to the park and become WooSox.
Yeah, yeah.
This also opens up a door for people just to grow a love for the game of baseball as a whole.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could speak on just the importance of not only trying to, establish more avenues of connecting with a fan base for the WooSox, but just how this helps the game of baseball as a whole.
I think what Wepa's night, it's a huge deal here in Polar Park, and I think that's a great avenue to open up ourselves to an Latin Spanish speaking market, and investing in that ideas like Wepa nights, it's something that it could be really important on kids, for example. Roberto the Rocket, it's an important figure for Wepa nights, and kids love Roberto. So if we have like a kid to come to Polar Park and have a great time and to see Roberto, to see that maybe a player speaks Spanish to him, or we have some 3 dudes in the DCU club that are just commenting on the game on a TV, speaking Spanish, their language. I think that's the way to do it. Like one great day at the ballpark can make a fan for life. I think that's something I really believe in. So just grinding, working every single day towards that, and making people happy, that people that come here happy and have a great time. I think that's the avenue we should take every single day.
Roberto's still first place in the mascot races over there?
I think so.
Roberto is still first place, yeah. So if you haven't been to a WooSox game this year or lately, we have implemented mascot races.
They're awesome.
They
awesome.
add a whole new thing to our mid-game entertainment there. So, yeah, I would highly suggest if you haven't seen one of those, that's at least one reason to get to the park, amongst other things. But we mentioned, this is kind of funny, I feel like this might be how you feel during broadcasts. Right now we're dealing with a little bit of background noise. But during a game, we are...
It's crazy.
During a game, you are right out there as the game's going on. Your broadcast, you're calling it. And people are standing right behind you. But one of the things I think I've seen, which is one of the coolest things, is that, mid-inning, when you guys are on, break, you're off air, just interacting with the fans, like speaking, like you have Spanish-speaking fans coming up to you, and I feel like they are almost in awe every single time that they see this, and they see you so like out in front of everyone, and I think it's a really special thing. And so what are some feedback? What's some feedback you've heard from fans that you've talked to?
Oh, it's definitely different, because you don't have like the quietness and the focus of a booth, of a transmission booth, that it's literally you and the feed and the field. But over here, I love it because you're seeing the game, right? But you can experience it as a fan as well, because behind you there's all the noise, there's all the chit chat, all the emotions that a game of baseball can bring out. So I love to be able to call a home run and just jump out of my seat like I like to do when there's a home run, and a little kid next to me going like, what is this guy doing? Just screaming my lungs out, and after that I can explain to the kid, we're calling a game in Spanish, just drawing attention, and people are just like walking by behind us, and they're taking 3 seconds of their time to just stop and ask what we're doing. I think that alone is worth it, and just be able to experience with fans and to engage with them and tell them what we're doing, and people also are able to see how a transmission is done, right? A broadcast is done in the flesh, because they cannot go into, of course they cannot go into the broadcast booth, you know, but they get an idea of how we call the games, how we score the games. So it's great. I've explained to a kid before, on a break, like how to score a baseball game. I have the lineup, and here's a fly out, here's like a ground out 5-3 or whatever. So it's definitely different, but it's been a great experience.
That's awesome, because I can tell you what, those little experiences stay with kids at that age, especially like forever. I remember, random people when I was at McCoy growing up showing me how to score a game by hand. When I would go with a camp field trip, and I'd go be the one kid buying a score sheet to go score by hand.
That's awesome.
So What's the coolest fan experience that you've had so far by being in the DCU? You have hundreds of people walking around day in, day out when you guys are doing the broadcast.
So it happened actually yesterday. That one of the coolest. So we had a rain delay, right? For 2 hours. So there was a lot of people in the DCU club. So we're on the broadcast, and of course, when a rain delay, we're having like a break because there was no game. And we had like a plate full of cookies for our broadcast team, right? And a little kid, like maybe like 6 years old, with his little brother, he came by and he asked us, "Well, what are you doing?" "Oh, this is Spanish broadcast," and he was like really into it. Like he was like, "Oh, but what program do you use? You know, and the software." And so he was really into it, and we were like, "Oh yeah," and right here is the English broadcast cabin and the booth. Or he was like, "Oh yeah, I don't want to go there. They don't have cookies." So
simple things.
Yeah, when he said that, I jumped into the office, grabbed 2 hats, gave them to him and his brother, and the mom was so grateful, and she was like, "Oh, they're gonna use it the whole game." And I saw the kids like walking by me like 3 more times, and they're wearing the hats, and I think that's the most amazing moment we've had in these 2 homestands.
Yeah, you know, it's we have a very unique opportunity here, whether, you know, you're doing a Spanish broadcast or like Dave and myself in the control room. You know, we have this big sandbox that we're able to play with every single time we're here. And the best thing about it, from my perspective, and it sounds like from your perspective too, is that fan interaction and being able to make people's day, and being able to, you know, when I cut a camera to bring it up onto the big screen, I do that however many times a day. But that kid who gets up on that big board is going to talk to his friends all summer about how I was up on. Well, one time I got up on that board. I got so, and I know that those kids who were talking to you, it's like, well, I got this hat from the Spanish, you know, broadcast. I got it from Michael, and like so, you know, it is really cool, and I've definitely talked about it many times before. But what we're able to do here at Polar Park and with the Worcester Red Sox is really special, and I think what you and your team are doing for the Spanish-speaking community, for the English-speaking community, for the baseball community is really special. You know, I don't think there's a better person that could have been the inaugural
appreciate
Spanish.
It, man. Don't be like that. Thank you.
But really, it is a pleasure watching you work,
Thank you.
watching you grow in that position, and seeing you guys just, you know, getting out there every single day and really, you know, expanding what we're able to offer here with the Worcester Red Sox.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
You guys are creating fans for life. You realize that, right?
That's crazy. I do realize that now, because people have repeated that to me. You know, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this thing, but now that you say it, and a bunch of people have said to me, like, yeah, we do have like a responsibility, you know, because if maybe, and I think everyone here has a responsibility. Doesn't matter if you're an intern, doesn't matter if you are like Dr. Charles Steinberg, the president of the club. If a little kid comes to you with a question, with something, you have duty to solve that kid's question or just say hi to him. You know, I think that's important, because you know the impact. Maybe for you it's like, it'll take 2 seconds or whatever. You know the impact that answer could have on that kid's life. So that's on you. So I think that's great, and that's a great question.
Yeah. Well, Michael, this was awesome. Thank you very much for joining us after what was a very long home
Let's go to bed now.
Yeah,
we need a shower and a bed.